Let me just say, this is not my first time teaching a class in Africa. It's not my first time giving a lecture in Kenya. It is my first time ever giving a lecture in my socks. So it's a very special occasion. I thank you for sharing it with me. The news is always going to start the conversation. It's not going to be the last word. It's going to be what we read so that we have common ground to have an argument or to have a discussion. And over time, those arguments and discussions end up being part of the news as well. We worry when we open up these spaces for people to discuss a story, or for people to put up topics that they care about, or for people to leave comments, whether we're leaving spaces for extremism. Are we making it possible for people whose views are not in the mainstream to have a voice that they wouldn't normally have? And this may be the hardest thing that we do in journalism, is to try to figure out how we take a piece of news and how we actually verify. And the answer is we need a combination of journalistic practice. Sometimes we need to go out and look and see, and can we find a photo of the place that someone was talking about? And sometimes we need technology. The problem doesn't go away. The technology on this isn't magic. It forces us to go and do it in a different fashion. So what I want to say is that I'm a big believer that we could have smart mobs rather than dumb crowds. But I'm also a big believer that you don't get it automatically. I think if you just put up a system and you say, I want you to report on police corruption, you're going to get terrible results. I think you have to be very careful about it. I think you have to think through the techniques of how you verify, how you contextualize, how you tell stories around it, so that you actually get to the point where you're doing news rather than just sort of gathering information that might or might not be true. Good reporters these days don't just write. They film, they shoot, they look for data, they look for ways to visualize. At the end of the day, we're always looking for a way to tell a compelling story that someone wants to listen to and put enough context around it that we understand how it affects us as citizens. That these days means using a much bigger toolkit than we used to. It means relying on a much bigger pool of people than it used to. It means taking our audience seriously in a way that some of us didn't always do. But ultimately, it's still what we're doing at the end of the day. And I thank you for letting me give what may have been a longer talk that I'd really meant to give, but I hope it was helpful. I will now shut up, sit in a chair, drink some water, and if you have questions, I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you.